Okay, so hey Henry, hello Mukesh, morning. Shall we start now? I think we are all together 15 people. Okay, okay, guys. So one thing I wanted to do with before starting the class is to uh, take your information regarding one of the sessions that we are going to conduct. This will be an industry session, okay, where we'll be talking about uh, the reasons and why you are doing all this PGP course and what you will gain from it. This particular session will be one session which will be totally focused on you people interacting with each other. Okay, because all of you come from different experience background from different domain and you all people have a lot of potential. So instead of you only listening to what trainer is saying, okay, you should also listen what trainer is saying about the industry and you yourself also. Like for example, you can't hear me, Aishwarya. Is it happening with everyone? Is it happening with, okay, only Aishwarya, so please check. Yeah, so I was saying that this session will be to take experience of each other. They will be talking about their experience and how they got into know about industry, what they wanted to do and how they can explore in the jobs, how they can uh, start working towards a few of the projects, okay, something like that. So this, we will call this as an industry session. But before conducting the session I need some information so that in that session we don't waste a lot of time only in asking the details. We will be talking about mostly the important things. Okay, so I'm going to provide a link to you. Okay, please see this link and fill it. Okay, it will be asking very little about your experience, how so far you are good. Okay, something about your domain knowledge, something about Python programming. MySQL is something that we are doing, so you can rate accordingly. Okay, so there are few basic questions. Okay, and you can fill up. It will be very much beneficial for me so that when we will be conducting the session you all will be having your prior information already with me so that I can suggest you. Okay, so please fill it this. We can have small 5 more minutes so that you can fill it up and then we can start with our usual class. Okay, you can save the link also if you want. You if you wanted to do it later then it's also fine. But still I'm giving you 5 minutes so that for those people who wanted to do it right now you can do it. Okay, but otherwise you can save the link and you can do it also later. Domain knowledge means that if you are working in some organization, so this organization belong to IT, finance sector, something like that. For example, you are a quality analyst, so your domain area or domain knowledge will be like quality analyst and in manufacturing, something like that. So, uh, so far, whatever you have understood in SQL, Ayush, you can enter accordingly. Okay, please do let me know if you have any questions. I will be helping you. Some people are joining late, so for them, I am giving the link again. Okay, guys, we can get started now. Okay, if you have any questions or you want me to hold on or wait, please do mention in the chat. Otherwise, we can go ahead. But save the link. But save the link, please. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. So I am. Thank you, Atya. So as you can see on my screen, what we did last time was to first of all understand the diagram, which is known as ER diagram, which is entity relationship diagram, and we understood about the information flow. So in this business case study, we have three major sources of information. One is customer, one is the business itself, and one is the inventory level. Okay, so we need to understand what we did first of all in the last class. In the last class, we tried to bring everything into one table. The customer table, we took the customer information. You can see that I'm zooming on this. So you can see that the customer name, first name is into a different table. Their address ID, which have the postal code, phone number, which have the district also, it is contained into one table. The city that particular address is situated is into a different table, and the that city and the country in which it is in stored in a different table. So what we did with the example that we picked up a few addresses, and you can see that, and we found that we should join them. Okay, we should join them in such a way that our all addresses are in one table, and after joining all the address related information like address id, city and country, we will be joining this new table, which is a combination of three tables into one table, which is the customer address table. Okay, so it's customer table. So what we are going to join, we have to join this address to city, so that it will be having city address, and then afterwards we will join country. Okay, country also, and that will be city address plus country. That combination will make a one table, and this one table we will be able to attach it to the customer table. So to do that, first of all, we understood that we need to do it one by one. So we first of all adding the city and address. So we will call address as a city and a table, and table city as b. Now we are going to join them, and join is nothing but very similar to that VLOOKUP, but instead of picking one variable at a time, we are going to bring the whole table into the one table. Okay, through the help of join. Okay, and there are types of join like left join, right join, inner join, full outer join. Okay, first of all we will understand this left join. Okay, in order to understand that, we can also see one of the diagram which I'm going to show you later, but let's see what we cover in the last class. Okay, so our Friday class, that is the yesterday class, was not did not happen. Okay, so we are meeting here in the Saturday class itself. Okay, and tomorrow we are going to meet, and after the next Friday, that will be a repeat class. Now in order to bring everything from a table, that is my address table, I need to write a dot star, comma, b dot city. This is something I want from the city table, and I wanted to rename this variable as city underscore name. And after that, from b table, I want country ID. Okay, and this is I want from address table. And after that space a, I am giving a alias to the table. Okay, what is my a table? That is address. And how I'm giving an alias to the address table? By keeping a space and the letter itself. Okay, and after that, all this address table will be in the left. Okay, and I will be joining another table which is city, and the alias that I'm going to give to my city is b. Okay, and the joining key for them to join will be the city ID. And this is something that we understood very well in the last class. If any student have any doubt, what is that joining key, please do let me know. I'm waiting for 10 seconds. Okay. You can DM me on privately also if you don't understand. Yeah. So in order to assign a alias, you need to just write, you can do it in a simple uh, query also. Select, let's say, star, let's say you are seeing the address table. Okay, so select star from address. Okay, let's say this is my address table. So let's say you want address and district from address table. Okay, so Pooja, this is for you. Okay, now you wanted to make a alias. Okay, so first of all, you will write, let's say, star from address, but you have given a alias as a. So this is the way you give a alias. Now instead, you will use this alias a dot address, comma, a dot district. Okay, now this will tell to SQL that you want address and district, but now you are fetching that particular these two variable with the help of a alias. Okay, now just run it. You will be able to see that you are able to get the address and the district from the address table by assigning a alias. Okay, so is this clear to you, Pooja? So in order to assign an alias, you just need to create a space and then write the alias. So instead of giving a, you can write Pooja as the alias. Now you will use Pooja.address, Pooja.address. It will also run fine. Okay. You have to look at carefully. Pooja, look at this carefully. You have written already a. Okay. Yeah. So this is the alias you have used. And you can see that just after the table name, if you are giving a space and giving a name, then that name will be assigned as an alias. Okay. Now, what if you wanted to add more than two tables at once? So let's just see that. Let's say we wanted to add city address plus country, or city plus address plus country. So you will make address table as A, city as B, and country as C table. Okay. So what you're going to do is that, so first of all, you can first of all remove this also. Yeah. So you will write select A dot star, which is the A table, B dot city, comma, B dot city ID as B underscore city, P dot country ID, and C dot country as C underscore country from Sakila dot address, which is the A alias. Left join, which table you wanted to join? City table. Okay. And you are giving an alias to the city as B. On which key, which is the common variable among them, A and B, city ID and city ID. Now you wanted to join this resultant table with another table, which is country, which should be also joined in the right of this, and every resultant table is on the left. So this is country, and you are giving an alias to this country as C. On which common variable among the city and address? Country ID. Okay, because country ID you are taking from B table, and then you are joining with the C country ID variable. Okay, and that's it. Now if I run this command, you will see that everything is there in this table, in this resultant table. Address ID, address to, district, city ID, postal code, phone, location, last update, city ID from the B table, and country ID from the C table, and the country itself. Okay, so this is how you join. Okay, any questions on this? I'm giving you a few minutes to think. Okay, and observe. Please do observe carefully. If you're not understanding anything, please do a direct DM to me. Okay. If you're understanding everything, it's fine. Then please do acknowledge on the chat. Then it's fine. You are able to understand. But please do acknowledgement. Guys, please do acknowledgement if you are able to understand. Thank you, Mukesh. Clear, Nagendra. Great. Thank you. So SQL handles all kinds of join. Okay. So let's first of all understand the joins also better. Okay. And once I give you an overview of the joins, I will explain you how there are different approaches to handle a query. Okay. To handle a question, there are multiple ways you can achieve an answer in SQL. Okay. So it's just like the same thing but a different route to the same destination, but there are different routes to go towards it. Okay. And which route is better, it is also a point. Now let's understand few things about the joins. Yep. So we are here. Yeah. So how many of you have understood the set theory in your school days? If you are, then fine. Then if not, then okay. So understand these circles as tables. Okay. This is your table A and table B. Okay. Now, if I wanted to join them, okay, okay. So this is one of the way it's joined. Okay. Now, if I just say that I'm doing a left join, so in that case, what does that mean? Okay, it means that what happened to my whiteboard? Yep, it's fine. Okay, if I just let's say I want everything from a table and also want those things which are common in both of the tables. Okay, so first of all, let's understand this one. I think it will be much easier to understand this one. So what is the common thing among them? You can clearly see this is the common. Okay, this is the common. Yeah, that is called the intersection. Okay, when you are taking two tables and seeing something common between them, okay, and you want that common results to be pulled out, so that's called a inner join. Okay, that's called the inner join. And the table which is on your left table, which is a, and there is a right on b. Okay, so if you want the common results as well as the results which are in the left table, okay, so let me just take that. If your final result is coming like this, like everything from a table but also the common, okay, also that common thing, so that's your left join. Okay, all the things which are there in the left table as well, so you can see that apart from the common there are also left other things also. Okay, and if this happens here also, like if your final results are like this, yeah, like this, you can see that if your common results are like everything from the right table apart from your taking out the common between them also, but everything is coming from the right table, so that's a right join. Okay, and the earlier one where everything was from the left and the common was the left join. Okay, now in the case, let me just redraw it. Okay, when your final desired result is everything, okay, everything is there from the board table, so it's a full outer join. Okay, there are some other kinds of advanced join also, like this one. There are two tables, this is the common. Okay, but you want everything from left table but don't want the common one. Okay, so these are called except. Okay, these are some advanced joins, we will talk it later, but this was a little bit overview about the joins, how you should see the join. Let me just show you some diagram which is much better than my drawing. Okay, so give me a second, I'm pulling up that diagram, it will give you a better understanding. Joins, give me a second, it might take some time. Yeah, I have. Yeah, there is a much better diagram. Yeah, yeah. So you can see that from this diagram, SQL joins. So first one is that exactly the same thing I told. Everything from the A table, also the common thing among them. So this will give you a left join. So select star from A left join B on A dot key equal to B dot key. Okay. What is the query to write the inner join, which is only giving you the common among the two tables? Select star from A inner join B on A dot key equal to B dot key. Okay. If you want to do a right join, select star from A right join B on A dot key equal to B dot key. You can see that how it is looking like. Okay. And if you want everything from the A table and you don't want to see the common also, okay, where you can write this kind of query. Select star from A left join B on A dot key equal to B dot key, where B dot key is null. Okay. Similarly, you can write the same thing for B. And if you wanted to do a full outer join, so select star from A full outer join B on A dot key dot B dot key. So you want everything from A table also, from B table also. But if you want something like this, okay, you want everything but do not want it to see anything common. Okay, select star from A full outer join B on A dot key equal to B dot key, where A dot key is null or B dot key is null, something like that. So you can see this particular diagram. I'm going to copy this and save it so that you can also refer it back. Okay, I will attach it. Yeah, I will share. No worries. I think you should see this, but we will cover it much in better with the help of our case studies. Okay. So because everything we are going to do in our case study, you can see that it will contain everything. It will include every kind of variations that you are supposed to learn. Okay, so let's just see learn some techniques. So what we are covering actually here is going to uh, grouping and summarization record and writing subqueries. We are going to understand that. Okay, and if you wanted to fetch a particular information, okay, then there are multiple ways to retrieve the same things. So there is a subquery approach and there is a layman approach. Okay. Let me just show you what is a layman approach first of all. Okay. So earlier what we did, if you see our previous queries, let me just show you what we did. Yes. So if you remember this example, what we did is that we first of all picked up a customer, Norma Gonzalez. Her customer or his customer ID is 94. Okay. Then we wanted to fetch out that particular address ID. So we gone to another table. Okay. That is the address table, and we fetched out the address ID, because address ID we got it from the customer table. From there, we got to know the city ID. So in order to fetch out the full information about one customer, we had to travel how many tables? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tables we had to go through. Okay. Now this is called the layman approach. Okay. Layman approach, where uh, you are going to one table. Okay. Just going. This is not the most smartest way. Okay. Now there is another method which is less time consuming. Okay, and which is I would not say that time consuming, but it is a little smart. What is that? Let's understand. Okay, now if you remember our first query, first of all, we gone to the customer table, and from customer table, we had to find a customer ID. Like we were having a customer ID, and from that customer ID, if I run this, you got to know address ID. Okay, this was my address ID 98. 98 was my address ID. So in fact, I need to find the address ID again into the city table, something like that. So what if I do it right now here? Okay, let me just explain you. So you are going to first of all your address ID. Okay, let's write a new example. In fact, okay, so we will repeat the same example. Okay, so this was my query. Okay, select star from customer where the customer ID is 94. If I run this, I will get the same customer, Norma Gonzalez. Now, if I just do a change in the query, what change I'm going to do in the query is that instead of where the customer ID, I will write a query, and query will be written in the bracket. Okay, something like that. And this approach is called subquery. Now, in this where clause in the bracket, I will write another query. Okay, so what we were supposed to take from that particular table, address ID, because if you remember, we are seeing that customer ID, okay, 94. But what we are supposed to take here, okay, from there, what we are doing, we are actually fetching the 98. So instead of that, we can do it directly also. So let me just write select address ID from address where I will just remove this one and write a subquery here like this one. And instead of selecting star, I will say that customer ID. Yeah. Now, this approach is called subquery approach. And in this query, you write one query and under another query. Okay. And this way you write a subquery. So instead of writing individual statement and fetching the results, you can get the results at one time. Okay. So let me just write start from here. Or in fact, I like this. Guys, give me a minute. Somebody is at my door. Give me a moment. Thank you. Start now. Yeah. So first of all, run this query and you will get to know that what it is fetching. So it is fetching that address ID 98, and this 98 is going to be in this ID, and this query is gonna filter out everything for address ID 98. So let's just run it combined. You will get to know that the address I am getting. Okay. Now, in order to fetch the city, what you required? You required your city. Sorry, you required your city ID. Okay. So in order to fetch out the city ID, what you want? The city, you want a city ID. So instead of getting that star, you want to only know the city ID. Okay. And you will write this city where city ID in this query. Okay. Now let's see what's happening here. Okay. First of all, this query will run. Okay. This query will run and it will give the address ID 98. Now this address ID 98 is going into this query. Okay. And it will give the city ID. City ID is 82. And in order to fetch the city information from city table, you needed a city ID, and the city ID will go into this where clause and it will filter out the city IDs, and you will get to know that this link is the city. Now, in order to know the country, what you required? You required to filter out the country ID. Now, instead of fetching everything, you might wanted to know the country ID itself. So you will write country ID, and this will give you that particular country ID, and you will use another select star from country where country ID in I know this is not going to be in one time. I will explain it to again all. Okay. Now if I run the entire query, you will see that we will get the country we wanted, Philippines. Okay. Okay, so let me just again explain to you. Okay, from the very basics. Subquery approach. Okay, so first of all, we have that uh customer name was Norma Gonzalez. Okay, so customer ID was 94. Now our task is to find the country of this particular customer. So you, first of all, what you want in order to fetch out the country information, you want the country ID, and in order to fetch out the country ID, you want city ID. In order to find the city ID, you want the address ID, and in order to find the address ID, you are need to find that particular customer information. So let's say select uh, address ID from address where customer ID equal to 94. Let's find that. No. Okay, because address ID is not found in the customer table. Let me just, yeah, maybe I did wrong. Yeah. So in order to fetch out the address ID, you need to find out the you need to find out that right customer detail. Okay, so I will write select star from customer where okay, yeah, just write this one. So it will give you everything from the customer table. What do you want in information? You want the address ID. So instead of selecting all, you will write address ID. Okay, so this will give you the address ID. Okay, so this is your first query. Okay, now with the help of this particular query, you are getting address ID. Now you will want to fill this information or use this information to fetch out another information. Select city ID from city where address ID in, okay, bracket start and like this way. Now with the brackets, you will be able to understand better. Okay, what this will do is that first of all, compiler of SQL will run this inner query. It will give out the address ID, and this address ID will go into the where clause of this query, okay, which is the parent query, and there is a child query. Okay, so you will fetch out the city ID from this whole execution. Okay, something wrong. Okay, I need to write another query. Okay, then fine. Star. Yeah, I was wrong info, having the wrong information about it. So you will get from the customer table the address ID, and this will be address ID. Yeah, fine. From the customer table, you are getting the address ID, and this address ID is going to be searched into the address table. Okay, now I will find this information. Yes. Now I will run this entire query. I have got the city ID as 82. Now I will use the city ID, select country ID from country where city ID in. Okay, now I will write entire query here like this. Now it should make sense to you guys more with the brackets. Okay, I'm reducing the size a little bit. Okay, so first of all, it will run this query. So address ID will be fetched out for the customer ID number 94. Okay, so address ID is there ready. So this query is giving you a 98 customer ID, which is going into the where clause of this, because address ID is going to be used for filtering, and it will go to the address table and fetch only the city ID. Okay, and for the address ID as 98, the city ID is 82. City ID will be again used to fetch out the country ID. Okay, so if I run the entire query, it will give me the country ID. Okay, something wrong. Okay, city. Yeah, yeah. So country ID is 75. Now, with the help of this country ID, I can fetch out the country. So I will write select country from country table where city ID is in. Just now, if I run the entire query, I will get the from, sorry, country ID in this Philippines. Yeah. So you can see that how the subquery is working. So how many queries, subqueries are there? 3 subqueries, 1, 2, and 3. And each of the subqueries is doing their work, which is supporting the another table. So within information table, if you see that diagram, this diagram, all these table are used as a hierarchy. Okay, now ultimately you will get the country of this particular customer. So let's say I choose another customer, let's say 100 customer. The ID of the customer is this one. So I will get the person's country. He's or that person is belonging for Russian Federation. So let's say I am giving a customer ID of 300. I will get that particular customer from India. Let's say 301. That particular customer is again from Russian Federation. So instead of no Pooja. This was only for the explanation. Okay, I will write a, yeah. This was only to give you understanding how the subqueries are working. So only for theoretical purpose, but you can write without spaces, without any blanks also. And you can see that SQL is providing you some collapsible points, just like in Excel pivot. Okay, so that you can better analyze your query. So instead of fetching one customer at a time, we can fetch multiple customer in Let's say 301, 302, 303, something like that. China, Russian Federation, Yemen. So these three customers that I entered 301, 302, 303 belonging to these countries. Yeah, we can do it also. We have already done that. Pooja, if you see that particular thing, I will get everything. Okay. You will see that for every address ID, I have the city ID, I have everything. So we have done already with the help of that. So Nikita, I have told you the spacing, this thing I have all explained to you is only for explanation. Okay. So if you write this query and write, so in the beginner stage, I would say that write this way so that you wouldn't get confused. But when you are already done practice a lot, so you can write in this way also. Let me just, yeah. So you can write in this way also by simply, but it is quite confusing also at a times, because these brackets might confuse a lot of people. Okay. Although this will return you the same thing, but yeah, can you can write the same query like this also. This will also give the results. Okay. But it's very hard to comprehend. So it's always better to use the indentation. Yeah, we can use the join. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see, understand this one. So this is your first query. And you can see that SQL editor is providing you a hint which bracket belongs to where. Okay. So you can see that this bracket belongs to this one. Yep. So in this way, you can also write. Okay. But I would have explained you this way, it would have created more confusion. Okay. So first of all, which query is running? This one. Okay. It is giving you the address ID 306, 307, 308. Okay. And after that, this query is running, which is fetching out the city IDs. So, okay. Yeah. So this query is running in the second instance, which is providing you the city IDs. And this city IDs is going to this table, which is city table, and it's getting filtered for the country IDs, country ID number 80, 23, and 107. And which is further filtering out the country table with the city IDs or with the country IDs, and you're getting the countries. Remember one thing, that when you're writing subqueries, you don't need to use the semicolon. Okay. You don't need semicolon. You only need semicolon when you are writing the last subquery, the outer subquery. Okay. So you can see that. I have written both the formats. You can understand from both the formats. Okay, so is this clear to everyone? Please do acknowledgement if it is clear. Thank you. Okay, guys, we can take a break and then we will gather back to understand our further concepts, which is the same subquery I will explain with another example, and then after that, I will explain you the CTE approach, common table expression. Okay, so what we have understood, the individual table, that is a layman approach, the subquery approach, okay, which is the smart approach but ranked at number two. What is the best way, which is the smartest approach, which is the common table expression? We will see that also. And there is a table approach also, which is expensive, and space and resource utilized are maximum in this approach. So all these four approaches are very important to you learn so that you can do the queries better. Okay, so I am stopping here for a break, then we will gather back, understand these approaches. Okay. Okay, students, so let's get started. Yeah, so far we have understood two approaches. Now there is a common table expression approach, okay, which is known as CTE. Okay, one more thing, a few things to address before we move forward. Okay, there is a catch. Okay, when you are joining, okay, when you are actually joining, then you have to remember a few things, and this is something distinct in other languages, in other SQL languages. So inclusion of primary key in select statements. Some tools will allow and some tools will not allow. Like for example, you have written a join statement. So right now, if I just go to my above join statement, which I used earlier, this one, okay, you would have seen that I am creating a table. Okay, initially, like if you run this statement only, you will get the results like this, and you will see that there is city ID and there is another city ID. The city ID is coming from that particular address table also. Sorry, from the city. Let me just explain you again one more time with a simple join. Okay, so everything is coming from your address table. Okay, so if I just see that address table, select star from address, you see what information you get. You get to know the city ID also, which is also present in the city table. That's why we are joining. Okay, but in our join, you will see that we have selected this, but we are picking our city only. We are not picking our city ID. But however, if I just pick up city ID also from the B table, then what will be the result? Okay, let's run it. You can see that I have city ID from the A table, and also I have a city ID from the B table. Okay, you can see that clearly. So it is a repetition. You can see that even observations are repeated because we have joined this particular two table on this particular ID itself. You can see that on a.citid equal to b.citid, and we are bringing them into our final results also. Okay, but if I do the same thing within, let's say, like another example where we are joining the three tables, you can see that if I do not, okay, a table I'm bringing all, B table I'm what I want the city and city ID, and from C table I want only the country. Okay, you can see that I'm getting the results. Okay, but the moment I wanted to convert the results into a table, you will find that something will happen. Okay, so let's say all these results that I've got here in the result grid, I wanted to store them into a table. The table name will be Sakila dot T underscore A2, something like that. You will see a error. Why? Okay, the error says that duplicate column name city ID. Okay, so why this error? Because if you wanted to make a table with the same column name being repeated, like the city ID, it will not make a table, because a table has a property that it will contain only the unique columns, no repetition of columns. I'm not talking about observations, I'm talking about the column or field. So column field should be distinct name. For example, you wanted to store the city ID from A table, and you also wanted to store the city ID from the B table, but the name of the two columns should be different, then it will store. But if it is having the same column name, whether even if contains a different information, okay, then it will not create a table. So one of the properties of a table will be that each column will be different. Otherwise, it will create a conflict. Okay, so you can see that if I just bring up the city ID from B table, and also there is a city ID present in the A table, and I'm trying to make a table of it, it's creating a conflict. And that's why I'm seeing that city ID duplicate column name. So in order to store that information into my final table, if I really wanted to bring that, I have to provide another name, b dot b's underscore city ID. This will tell to SQL table that yes, there is a city ID, but the another column name is b underscore city ID, while the city ID in A table is having a different name altogether. Okay, if I try to make a table now, it will run. Okay, you can see that. Okay, so this is a catch. So if you want to, if you wanted to bring common, or if you wanted to bring fields with the same name and you wanted to create a table of it, it won't run. If you are not creating a table, you are only bringing it to the results, like only running the select statement, then it will run seamlessly, no issues. But if you really wanted to create a table, then you need to have, make sure that each column name is different from another one. Okay, so this is a very important rule you should be keep in mind. So please do let me know if you are able to understand this concept. Thank you, Mukesh. What about others? Others have got this or not? Mukesh understood it. Matthew understood it. Pooja understood it. Nagendra. Thank you all for acknowledgement. Okay, let's go back to our query. Now, usually the primary keys are the columns that are repeated. Let's say you have brought that everything from A table, so it has got the city ID, and your city ID, city being the table B, which is also having the city ID, which is usually the case of primary keys. Your primary keys will be the common, and if you wanted to bring into the results, then it can happen. But there are some tools like SAS which also allows SQL queries to write in there. Okay, they don't allow it. Okay, they don't allow it. Okay, so keep in mind this one. So you can see that let me just run this one. Yeah, so it is joining our address, city, and country. Again, the same thing I have done. Instead of using another alias, so ADDR is the alias for address. City we have CT, and for country we have CNTRY. Okay, okay, and we can do the same thing with the help of our subquery approach. So let's say I wanted to fetch out the results for city ID equal to 3. Okay, so I'm joining also, and I'm putting a where clause in the last. Okay, so you can put your where clause in the joining condition also. Let's say you can see that this is my from, and everything that I'm fetching from my table, so the joining keys are here. Just like in your initial generic where clause, you write everything and you put a where clause after the table name. So here also you're doing the same thing ultimately. So after from, you have your table informations and the joining keys, and after that you can put up your where condition. So if I run this entire thing, so I will fetch out the results something is city ID. Yes. Okay, you can see that the problem is there. Okay, city ID, but I have to pass on the reference key. So ct dot city ID. Yeah. So city ID is 3, which is a city in Abu Dhabi. Okay, you can see that I have filtered out the results. So this variation shows the joining key as well as the where clause. Okay, if you were to do the same thing with the subquery approach, you can do also writing with the subquery approach with the alias also, and you can filter out where city ID equal to 3. Okay, you are getting the same thing. Okay, so two approaches. One is that particular joined approach. You are joining the tables and you are getting the results, and you can also use the subquery approach. Let's see the common table expression approach, CTE approach. Okay, first of all, you will have to understand the syntax. Okay, this particular CTE approach uses a keyword called with. Okay, you can start with the with clause. This is a syntax, just like your select, your create, alter. So this is a keyword which you should keep in mind. With the word with, you are actually initiating a CTE, common table expression. Okay, you can write as many subqueries. Okay, and this with or this common table expression is actually used to write multiple subqueries. Okay, so first of all, I will explain you how it is written, and then after that I will explain you its working and its theoretical aspect. So you can see that the moment I am written with, it is blue, so it is mean that it is a recognizable by SQL. The moment you write afterward anything with after the with, it becomes the table name. Okay, now this particular with statement, it actually creates a table in the memory while using your RAM. Okay, it creates a temporary table. Very important thing is called temporary table. Temporary table means that it will be not shown into uh, any schema unless and until you specify a schema. Okay, you will see that it is being run into some backend memory. And why it is useful? Because it is it actually do the processing in the RAM itself, or do the processing uh, in a temporary space. Temporary space means that there is no library. Okay, with the table one, so table one will be created a table in the memory where you are defining that particular table as city ID and city from Sakila city, where all the cities where the city ID is less than 100, order by city descending. So first of all, run this query. You will see that all the city IDs which are having the number less than 100. Okay, so this particular select statement is giving you a table, and this table information that you are getting in the result grid will be stored into a temporary table, and that temporary table's name will be called as table 1. Okay, so this combined statement will create a table which is having non-physical, it doesn't belong to any schema. Okay, and it will have a results like this one. Now from this table which is created in the memory with the name of table 1, you can fetch out few more information like the city ID and city. Let's say only the city. From where? Table 1. But this has to be written like this. Okay, you cannot like write this way. Okay, first of all, you have to assign a table which is a temporary table name, and then you will define that particular table. What that particular table will store, that temporary table, it will store city and city id from city where the city id is less than 100, and it will be ordered by city descending. Now from this new table that has been formed into the temporary space, you wanted to fetch out only the city from this table one. So if I just write this one, you can see that. Okay, so I am getting this particular, and you can also assign a alias city information or city name. I think it will work. Yeah, city name. Okay, you can also count distinct city as city count 99. So how many cities are there where the city id is less than 100? 99. Okay, you might want it to include all other information also. Okay, so you just see that what I have done is that, so if you were to do it without the cte, what you would have done. Okay, so what, let's say without cte, what you would have written. So first of all, you need to create this particular information and assign a table, create table as table 1. You would have written like this. Okay, so this would have created a table 1, and this will be storing into some schema. Okay, some schema. Drop table 1. Okay, yeah, this has created a table 1 here, but also when you ran this one, there was a table 1. If you would have observed it correctly, then what is the difference between this table and that table? Okay, I will explain. Now in without particular this one, you will now write a select count distinct city from city on from table 1. You would have written this way also. Okay, but why we are using this one? Okay, now this particular statement runs a ddl command, and ddl commands are expensive in terms of resource. Okay, whereas this with table, okay, it runs a less expensive mechanism to create a table. So that's why the difference all here. So if you will run this create table on million rows, it will take more time. Okay, while this will take lesser time. Okay, the difference will be not seen here. Okay, difference will be much more observed when your rows will be higher and your your column will be higher. Okay, so that's why. An important thing, the moment you close your workbench, all the tables that you have written with the with clause will be removed. Okay, that's why that particular with CTE clause is used, common table expression. Okay, so this was the explanation for that. So I will just remove this one. Okay. Now the same approach that we used, create table. Okay. It's an expensive and higher resource utilization mechanism, because when you're creating table, you're giving some extra load to the database. Okay. It will be permanently saved some space. Okay. It will be permanently taking some space. So it's a little uh, resource intensive mechanism that you should avoid. Okay. Yes. So let's do some queries also. So same thing I have explained to here also, with the help of with. Yeah. What is the use? The use is to write queries. Okay. To write the queries, to find the digging out. So if you see that particular example, what is that? What is the use of forward slash? You're asking about, Pooja, about these special characters. Common table expression is used to. Okay, if you would have seen here, I have told you the approaches to write the queries. Okay, approaches to write queries. You understand why do we write queries? Okay, so I will give you a better example. So you wanted to go from point A to point B. Okay, you reach the destination via 3 to 4 routes. Okay, so with CTE, this particular common table expression is one of the routes through which you can achieve to your destination. Okay, so the point is that why you wanted to travel, you might have some purpose, so that's why you write queries. But there are multiple ways to write a query. Okay, you have an individual table approach, you have subquery approach, you have a common table expression approach, and the table approach, where you are creating a table and then you are querying the things. And why do we write queries? We write queries to answer the business questions. Okay, which we are already doing. Okay, some of the questions. Okay, so you have got all these approaches to write the queries. Now you have learned these approaches. Now you will use these approaches to answer these questions. Okay, so I the point of explaining you all this theoretical aspect is to prepare you so that you can write the queries in any way you want. Okay, now let's understand a little better this table approach. Okay, I will explain you. I mean, while writing in CT, then the table won't save. Table will be there, but it will be in a different. I would there that say that I explain you that in a temporary storage. Yes, in a temporary storage. While you write a table, it will go to a schema. Okay, although this will go to the schema, but the way this is being run, it is different. When you write a create table, it is running a DDL command, while this with clause, it is not a DDL command. Okay, it is somewhere in between, some middle in between, because we have already understood what are those DDL commands. Okay, we have the DDL commands as create, drop, alter, truncate. Okay, so this DDL command will have a different way of creating or working the things in comparison to the with clause. With clause is a little different. Okay, and because we are working on SQL workbench, it also creates a table in that case. But when you will be writing the queries on SQL server, okay, as MS SQL server or Oracle or any other like Informatica, all these with table, this with clause tables doesn't get any right to create a table in the database. Okay, in another tools, they are only allowed to create a table into a temporary space which a normal person won't be able to access directly. Okay, so this is only like just like your like a temporary space which is only live when your session is there. The moment you close the session, that particular work that you have done in the with tables will be gone. Okay, in SQL workbench it is allowed to do, but when you will be working on productions, you will see that creating a table will take much higher time rather than working on a with table. Because in production servers, when you are working for organizations, create table only used when you are 100% sure that whatever the results that you have made are going to be published to show the stakeholders or the customers. Okay, so it is the last step which is done very carefully, which is done at very careful, because in organizations maintaining these databases have a cost. It requires money because that particular database is hosted on a server, and company is paying for the servers on a hourly basis. Okay, on a hourly, even for minutes also. So if you are created a table and which is present on a production server which is hosted by a service like AWS, Amazon Web Service. So Amazon Web Service is charging that company on hourly basis for creating and working on their particular server. Because if you know that Amazon Web Service or any cloud based service actually are paid, they are paid, company pays them for their particular cloud access. Okay, just like in your case also, have you seen that after certain time Apple users are asked to pay for the storage? If you're aware about, even Google has done this also last year. If you are using a Google account, then you would have seen that after a certain limit this particular storage is not free, which was earlier free. Because storage, you are storing on cloud, and cloud is something, a resource intensive thing which is run by that particular organization. In order to store your data into their servers, you need to pay. So just like that, production companies or these organizations have the production server hosted by another company, which they are paying a monthly fees or a hourly fees. So while you are writing a create table, you are actually taking some space into that hosted server. Okay, so that's why this is very carefully done. Because if you are doing some rough work, if you are doing some experiment, why you will require your company to pay for that? Ultimately, if you write something onto that paid server, company will come to you, why you are writing on that particular paid service? You can use the internal free space which we have, let's say for 15 GB of space, something like that. Internally it's free. So what that's internal particular resource, that RAM that is being allocated to you in order to store that particular temporary table. Okay, so with that particular with clause, you can create as many temporary spaces, and when you are done doing your querying, you can finally make a table and convert it into a permanent physical storage onto that server which is paid, so that it can be used for multiple purpose. But in production servers, using a create table is a very expensive and intensive thing. Okay, usually the senior developers or the principal developers does this particular thing. They get everything into the temporary table from junior analyst, and they check it, they observe it, they do a quality audit of everything, and they finally write everything they have written into a create table statement, which is a physical storage, and that will be hosted into a company played or any web service. Okay, so that's a little theoretical aspect I wanted to talk you about, how actual things are there. Because when you are writing on a dummy data and when you're working on your local machine, you really don't know what happened here. But obviously I'm telling you from the experiences of different organizations that how these each query is a little different. Okay. Okay, so please do let me know if you are able to relate with what I've been telling you. If you're good in understanding, then fine, we can go ahead. So Pooja, please do start from you. Understood. What about others? Okay, then fine. Great. Yeah. So you can see that what I've done is that I have we have two ways of writing the with table. Okay. So you can write a table without any brackets. Okay. And there is a table you are writing with the bracket. What is the meaning of this bracket a comma b? It means that the table that you are making, which is table one, it will have two columns as a and b. Okay. What are those columns will be? That are the city ID and city. Okay. Now, what you have created this particular table a comma b, you don't wanted to refer them directly with this name. You wanted to refer them with this a and b. So it's another way to create a column alias. Okay. So you, and whatever you have got, you wanted to store it into a permanent table. Okay, so you can see that till here everything is there from the point of view of temporary table. I can run it. The moment I am creating it into a create table, I'm writing a create table, so it is coming into a production server, or you can assume like a paid server, because it's a call to do a ddl command, and ddl command will create a physical table into the database. Yes, you can always do a export. Okay, so you can see that in my default there is a tb1. Okay, if I just, you can see that the table names, the column name is also a and b, because I have given a alias over here. The alias is a and b. Okay, whatever I will get from that particular temporary table, it will be renamed as a and b. Okay, and I've created that particular thing. Okay, you can create a table from the results of subquery also. So you can see that I've written a subquery, everything from the address table. Okay, where the city ID is city ID in, and I can provide some city IDs also. So all distinct city IDs will be there. So let's say all these 600 city IDs, and I wanted to have the everything from the address table corresponding these city. So you can see that, and I wanted to store it into a TB2. Okay, so you can see that all the city IDs, I have mapped the address IDs, and I'm storing that into a permanent table. So I can write a, I can create a permanent table with a with clause. I can create a permanent table with a subquery also. So that has been also done. And I can create a table while making a joining also. You can see that I have written a join statement, and I have created a table of that. Okay, so how many ways you can create a table. Okay, so that's it. I'm covering for today. So if we are going to cover from our 280 or 281, whatever the table, so we will continue from here. You will see that a lot of the things are there. In fact, everything is there regarding our questions. I don't know if I have provided you SQL query 2 or not. Can you please acknowledge me on the chat if this particular query is with you or not? SQL query 2. Please do acknowledgement. For those students, okay, you have. Yeah. So you will find that every question's answer is there already in that particular query. But however, you have the answers. I will insist that please try to do it in a separate query by doing by yourself. If you're stuck, if you really think that I'm not able to use my brain, I'm really stuck, then use the solutions or the keys. Okay. So you will find that somewhere around in the line 315 onwards, you will find that I am having the solutions for every query. Okay. So this is I have given you only for the reference in case you are stuck. But I would encourage that please do it first of all by yourself, looking at the questions only. Okay, looking at the questions only, then you try to run the query by yourself, and if you're stuck, then please refer the solution. Okay, so that's it for today, and we will continue from writing these questions or answers for these question on the business case study. Okay, so today we have understood everything that you require to write a query and how you can write the queries in multiple ways. If you have understood those techniques, so I will encourage everyone, please do a practice today, so that when tomorrow we'll be doing our questions and answer for those case studies, you will be having some upper hand. And guys, that's all for today. Thanks for joining in, and please do rate the lectures. Okay. Okay, bye.